This week on Arizona Illustrated, the good, the bad, and the ugly of local TV commercials. The joy and healing of riding with Alec. Learning to love rattlesnakes. And Tucson's back alleys. Welcome to Arizona Illustrated. I'm Tom McNamara. We love them, we hate them. Some make us laugh, some make us cringe, and we seem to instinctively know that they are from here. I'm talking about local TV commercials. While often thought of as cheesy, they can produce results by connecting with customers, and some are remembered long after the glamour and polish of their national competitors has worn off.
Let's sell it, okay?
Okay, fine.
Yeah. Now tell them about the balloons, the singing.
Oh.
Let's hear that excitement.
All right.
Yes, sir. Can I help you?
I need a good used car.
I got rid of my old scuba outfit and got me this here terrific sousaphone.
Local television ads, past and present, have an uncanny way of making an impact. Campy humor and appearances by hometown business owners looking to connect with customers are par for the course.
The founders of advertising long ago realized that advertising is about being local.
Ed Ackerley is owner of Ackerley Advertising, past president of the American Advertising Federation of Tucson, and has been in the advertising business since 1968. He says many things have changed, but the purpose and need to connect with customers at the local level remains the same. Ultimately, local commercials feed into our human need to create community.
Ay, caramba! Southwestern paint?
When they actually get up to go buy something, they're typically going to work with somebody that's a local person. And so if they have a relationship with a car dealer or with a restaurateur or with a store that's a person that's made a brand profile for themselves, then that relationship is even stronger. So it's a powerful tool.
Local commercials have long relied on jingles, personalities, or humor to capture our attention. Some have been more successful than others, but the objective has always been the same, which is to connect with local consumers by getting noticed or doing something just a little bit different.
So that's how you guys got to be called the Buck Stretchers.
The Buck Stretcher was a really good campaign. It had a buck stretching, and so it had a mnemonic device in it to get people to think about stretching their dollar.
Lord, they're good people.
They're called mnemonic devices when you have a slogan, a jingle, or stretching the buck, or pyrotechnics, or whatever. It's a way for people to tie their concept to the advertising product, and it's a neat way to try and get people to remember who you are.
They're often cheesy and campy, but local commercials can be memorable. And whether we like to admit it or not, business owners are successful in influencing viewers.
We decided to do a commercial, and I said, you have to be recognized, you have to know what you're selling, and it has to be memorable.
Chris Edwards is owner of Tucson Appliance. His business started in 1993 as a small service company. But when he decided to branch out into retail, he felt television would be the best tool to connect with the public. And his commercials included a memorable mnemonic device.
At Tucson Appliance, where our low prices are your priority.
What I told him is, I'm just going to dress up. The Hulk is coming out, that movie. Let's just dress up like him and do a commercial like that, because we have scratch and dent appliances. And so what I'll do is we'll mock that up and see how that works. Well, it just turned out to be a flood of customers.
A flood of customers is what most advertisers hope for. And for Edwards and his appliance retail business, the recipe for success has been to latch onto movies like The Hulk and other pop culture icons of our time.
Superman came out just before that, probably 6 months before that, I did a Superman commercial. Batman came out, that was the worst commercial I've ever made, and you could see it on Sports Illustrated. I think I got many views as being one of the worst commercials ever. But it got a lot of attention. Good, any advertising is good advertising.
Pardon me, ma'am, but I see a minor dent here that can save you 40%.
I get comments all the time. We'll tell people that we produce television commercials for Chris and Tucson Appliance, and they'll say, really? It's like so cheesy. They're so bad. That's what they are. That's what makes them fun, and I think that's what makes them memorable.
I can't even read the fine print, and you're telling me I can't.
We like to have a lot of fun when we work, and I think that shows in our personalities, and it shows the way we build partnerships with our clients.
Edwards has paired up with Commotion Studios for his most recent television commercials, and he says the quality has improved.
There's really a basic idea when it comes with Chris. We know he's going to be in an angel outfit or, wearing a John McEnroe tennis outfit or something like that. But basically, we just ad-lib it as we go.
You don't love Tucson Appliance, where our low prices are your...
While humor is the hallmark of local commercials, not all choose to go cheesy.
Pop money to send funds to virtually anyone, anywhere.
We have Sean Miller, Coach Sean Miller from the U of A basketball team is the spokesperson for Hughes. So he's incorporated into the spots.
Carrie Stratford is president of the Caliber Group Advertising Agency.
We do marketing, branding, public relations, and advertising for clients locally and across the country.
Stratford says local advertising has evolved considerably in recent years. Her clients expect a national quality spot, but with local connections.
So Scott, show me where their first position is. There's a lot of logistics to a TV commercial, and we hire local crew and local talent. We act as the creative director, art director on set.
No, she's gonna move around.
Set like that can have anywhere from 20 to 40 people on it.
And Stratford says the evolving media landscape still makes television an effective tool for businesses.
It's interesting how the equipment has gotten better, so the commercials are looking better even if they are shot locally. We used to have to transfer from the film that we would shoot 16 millimeter, we'd shoot film, and we'd actually have to send it to LA to have it transferred so that we could do editing and do the color correcting out in LA. And all of that has become accessible to us here in town, which is quite fun.
Hey, what are you doing? You look great in an outfit like that.
TV advertising is evolving to reflect changing tastes of target consumers. However, many of the old vintage commercials were successful in claiming space in the minds of consumers. They were memorable, and they continue to serve as the inspiration for a new generation of advertising.
Oh, Samoa?
I don't mind if I do.
You remember all those old spots, and that's because they were memorable in some way. So humor can be a good method for making something memorable.
You don't love Tucson Appliance, bro. You don't love Tucson Appliance, bro.
Take five. Everybody watches TV. You see everybody else on TV. We need to be on TV.
He doesn't take himself too seriously, which I think is great, and I think it lends itself to a good, fun final product.
Join the team, committed to your winning success.
Thank you. Perfect.
Advertising is a vehicle in a variety of ways to create a commotion, to get people to take notice.
At Tucson Appliance, where our low prices are your priority.
That's good.
April is National Autism Awareness Month, a time to reflect on the challenges that children and parents face when they first hear an autism diagnosis. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, about 1 in 68 U.S. children are identified with autism spectrum disorder. One local organization provides a unique form of therapy that helps kids and parents connect and move forward.
All parents want to have a bond and a connection with their child. You're never quite sure of how that's going to go when you're first told your child is on the autism spectrum. So in the back of your mind, you're like, am I ever going to be able to connect to my son? What type of relationship will we have? You get concerned that that's something that I may not ever have with them.
Jason Ring is an officer in the United States Air Force, stationed at Davis-Monthan in Tucson. His 6-year-old son, Alec, was identified with a pervasive developmental delay when he was 15 months old. When he entered kindergarten at age 3, he was diagnosed with autism.
On the one hand, it was fear. It was scared of the unknown, of a lot of the assumptions that you have in not knowing, and preconceived ideas.
Jason found services for Alec through a special needs program at Davis-Monthan Air Force Base. Among the offerings was a program called Therapeutic Riding of Tucson, or TROT. Since 1974, TROT has used horseback riding as a form of therapy for children and adults who are challenged by everything from blindness to PTSD.
Who's this?
Alec qualified for a scholarship and was enrolled in the program just over a year ago.
Think you want to ride today?
The first few lessons, Alec was terrified. Yeah, in his first lesson, he spent the first few minutes just in tears walking around on the horse. Okay, let's walk over to your horse. Our goal shifted then to let's just get comfortable on the horse. So we spent weeks just learning how to relax and be confident on the horse and get to know your horse. Joey, to walk on?
Walk on.
Good job.
Melanie Rader is Alec's riding instructor and began riding horses herself when she was 9 years old. She describes herself as a horse-crazy kid whose passion for riding never waned.
Yes, for the green cones we use our reins this year. Good job. I think it's important to point out that therapeutic riding instructors are not therapists. So the therapeutic is maybe, it's a little misleading in that a lot of times people think that we're therapists. But we are riding instructors. And our goal is to teach riding to students to whatever degree they can learn. Yeah, there you go. And now this one straight back. Hey, that's much better. So we are asking riders to hold the reins and learn how to halt their horse and learn how to turn and make them go forward and post the trot. Yeah, nice clucking and keep clucking. But along with that, there's a lot of other benefits, physical benefits, emotional, cognitive, social. And so we concentrate on certain goals within those benefits. Wow, me too, me too.
Melanie says it's common to work in partnership with families to shape the goals and expectations of each rider. Jason shared with Melanie that he wanted to help Alec communicate better and to focus her efforts primarily on his social, emotional, and cognitive skills.
So we're just going to do 3.
Okay.
He says his son lacked confidence and the ability to connect with his peers, and that even his own connection with Alec was lacking.
All right, should we go do a throwing game at the tires? There were times when Alec would say something and I would look at Jason and we'd both just kind of, have no idea. And so yeah, you lose something there between father and son if you can't understand what your child is saying. 20 points?
Yes.
The little one, yeah.
Melanie taught Alec how to interpret horse language by observing the ears, the mouth, the tongue, and the tail. He learned riding positions and patterns. The exercises improved his core strength and balance. He became more adept with his hand-eye coordination and his memory sharpened. Alec began to trust his horse, and through that relationship and instruction from Melanie, a significant bond grew.
I can't see.
You can't see where you're going. We have to trust Vicky that she's going to lead us in the right direction. For a lot of students, and particularly a lot of students with autism who have trouble relating to people, they have a very strong connection with the horse. And the horse, just being on the horse and being around the horse, enables them to open up in a way that they can't with people. 1, 2, 3.
Alec has opened up over the past year and reached many of the goals his father hoped for.
I want to touch yellow, blue, and light blue.
You're going to touch all of the colors.
Yes, because I love them.
Oh my goodness, talking all the time, and it's like music to my ears.
Whoa.
He just can't stop talking sometimes, which is a beautiful thing, but being able to hold a conversation, not only, at home, but also with others, being able to identify like the basic things like colors, being more self-sufficient.
So lean forward.
So it's like a transformation from a year ago.
And we go downhill now, you can lean. He's much more lucid in his conversations. Very nice. Instead of having a stream of consciousness conversation basically with himself, he's able to respond to either me or the volunteers that work with him and stay within our conversation. Which was the last one we did that.
Alec has learned the patterns and the protocols, but he's also developed a strong sense of himself and is now willing to push beyond his own boundaries.
I'll show you.
Okay. I love teaching Alec. He's my last lesson on my last day of work, and I can't imagine a better lesson to end my week with because he's always made me laugh, and I'm always smiling just as big as he is when we're done with the lesson. So he's really, really fun.
Give us big power!
Jason Ring says he's grateful for the good work of Melanie Rader and the other folks at Trot, who have helped Alec develop skills and abilities that were once beyond his reach.
Do you see all the horses in the pastures?
Yes.
What color are the horses?
White.
One is white.
One is gray.
One is grayish.
And one has two in black and white.
To see how far he's come and to be able to have that connection the communication back and forth of him expressing himself and then being able to communicate back to him and him understand and receive it is just, you can't put words to it. Every day is wonderful. Every moment's wonderful.
For more information on therapeutic riding of Tucson, visit trotarizona.org. Like what you see on Arizona Illustrated? Visit our webpage at azpm.org to watch and share videos from this episode. You'll also find stories from future programs, an easy way to submit your own story idea, an archive of past episodes of Arizona Illustrated, and you'll find everything you need to stay connected with public broadcasting in Southern Arizona. azpm.org. Warming temperatures bring about signs of spring, blooming flowers, busy insects, baby birds, and lounging lizards. It is also the time for rattlesnakes to come out of hibernation, an annual rite that can cause fear and concern. Arizona has more than a dozen species of rattlesnakes, and while some people aren't particularly excited about that, some naturalists are urging you to celebrate and support your rattlesnake neighbors.
Hummingbirds and other popular colorful birds or butterflies are often called beautiful, brilliant, and even mystical. Bighorn sheep and other well-liked mammals are cute, energetic, and cuddly. But when it comes to snakes, specifically rattlesnakes and other venomous creatures, the descriptions can be very divergent. Aggressive, dangerous, slimy, and scary usually come to mind.
The list of rattlesnake myths and just snake myths in general is endless. Sure. I agree.
For Jeff Smith and Melissa Amarillo, myths, perceptions, and negative attitudes make up some of the biggest roadblocks they encounter in their quest to protect rattlesnakes and related reptiles.
Diamondback.
Amarillo and Smith are the founders of Advocates for Snake Preservation, a group that promotes conservation and coexistence with snakes.
We have a western diamondback rattlesnake that was moving across the trail. It was maybe 5 to 10 yards in front of me, and it gave just a little warning rattle, a really slow kind of tail shake, and it continued to move off into the weeds here and just coiled up at the base of this tree. That's very typical behavior for a rattlesnake. It doesn't want to be in the way. It gave me a warning that it was there, and it just got out of my way as quick as it could. All right, I'd love to see a blacktail. This is another western diamondback. So this is a female.
Amarillo believes snakes definitely need a break. They've been cast as villains or malicious animals for centuries.
A lot of us grew up with that story from the Bible of Adam and Eve, and all evil basically came from this one individual snake, or the devil looking like a snake, but the snake very much embodies evil. Most people are scared of snakes. For a lot of people, this turns into just an outright hatred, and that in many places has turned into persecuting snakes.
And this includes events such as rattlesnake roundups, which attract tourists and their money to communities across the country. The reptiles are intentionally gathered and frequently exterminated.
We don't have large festivals where people collect thousands of tigers, for instance, and kill them for entertainment and profit. But that's something that happens every year in the U.S. with rattlesnakes. We want them to be given a fair shake, if you will, for a rattlesnake.
Amarillo says rattlesnakes are not out to kill us because we are not their prey. They would never be able to eat a human being, although they can strike if you get too close, step on them, or try to handle them. Many animals will hunt rattlesnakes for food, including eagles, roadrunners, bobcats, and coyotes, and the snake tries to protect itself.
So right there is where the little cotton rat lives in here. And this is where the snakes will go, frequent these areas, to try to get the creature.
Christopher Vincent and his partner Mary Ellen Landon are also supportive of respecting snakes.
So when people are worried about snakes by their home, as long as they don't create an environment for them, they won't be right next to their house.
Vincent and Landon operate WOW Arizona, a nonprofit organization north of Tucson that focuses on getting people outside to enjoy the environment. For them, there is no good species or bad species. Rattlesnakes are just a natural part of the local landscape.
I think they all belong here. There's no deep religious or philosophical aspect, just watching how they all work together. One is prey for another is prey for another. Taking photos of even little insects, then you blow them up and there's an insect parasitizing that.
Vincent and Landon have even named their resident rattlesnakes.
Pretty brow Floyd, George, or Susuza, or Cartman's our biggest favorite. He's big and fat and healthy.
The reptiles are not pets, however, and they are still treated as the wild animals that they are. Human paths are cleared for visibility, and guests are reminded to stay alert and keep their distance.
There's a healthy respect for them. They're not my friends. I don't pick them up, I don't pet them. I respect what they do, and I hope they leave me alone too.
That's a very good question.
By using science and education, Amarillo also hones in on respect, awareness, and being cautious around snakes. Don't approach them or harass them, she says, to captive audiences.
I don't want to call it licking because it doesn't feel like it, but so he's sniffing. That's what he's doing.
She's equipped with a group of non-venomous, gentle snakes that don't mind handling and rattlesnakes that remain in their enclosures. Those are for looking, not for touching.
A good rule of thumb, even though, snakes are nice, I want you guys to like snakes, I want you to appreciate snakes, but because we do live someplace where we have snakes that can potentially hurt you, and it's really painful and really expensive if it happens, if you don't know 100% sure what it is and your parents aren't there to also tell you it's okay, don't pick them up. The other thing that's different about pips...
My take on snakes, if they hold them, it's good. I don't know that I want to hold them. It's okay with me. They don't bother me. I don't want one in my house. But I think it's very educational, and I think it's really good for us to learn about them, learn everything we can about them. The way she was holding them, it opened my eyes a little bit.
Advocates for snake preservation admit it isn't always an easy sell. They cannot rely on a fluffy black and white panda as a mascot, for example, or a bold vermilion flycatcher, which appears so pleasant to a lot of people. Still, the advocates take their message wherever possible, because if snakes can thrive in healthy habitats, they say, other creatures, including humans, will also do well.
I have loved snakes since I was a little kid, but for a while I worked with birds. I worked with peregrine falcons, I worked with California condors, and I came back to snakes because I thought they really needed someone. Even among scientists, snakes are not as popular to study, but snakes don't have an advocate. And I know I'm not going to turn everyone into snake-obsessed crazies like me, but I think we can all respect them and appreciate them and just, let them do their thing, like every other animal that's here.
And now it's time for Favorite Places, our limited series where architects speak thoughtfully and personally about a favorite building, place, or space in southern Arizona. When you think of your favorite place, is it an iconic historic building, a modern structure celebrating simplicity, or perhaps a manicured and meticulously cared for garden? Well, for architect Liz Farkas, it's none of the above.
Some of my favorite places in Tucson are not buildings. They're not even really places in the traditional sense of the word, but the spaces between places. They are the alleyways that thread through the older neighborhoods in central Tucson, providing a relatively car-free and often quite lush spaces and a charming pedestrian experience for myself as a runner and for the other pedestrians and dog walkers I frequently encounter. Certainly, there is a utilitarian function for these alleys. They were created in the early days of Tucson's development of subdivisions, in neighborhoods few think of as subdivisions now, to provide access to mid-block houses and for services, and they continue to provide those functions today. However, I gravitate towards the alleys with charm in proportion to their functionality, the ones without too many garages, the ones whose fences are planted with cactus and shrubs, the ones with stretches of textured walls with a periodic opening allowing a glimpse to the yards and homes beyond. The variety of what each user chooses to do is amazing, providing inspiration from a nicely detailed addition or the way the light hits the side of that textured wall. Part of the appeal for me of these alleyways comes from their human scale. The narrow alleyways allow a tree to shade the entire path, and they offer respite from the paved and hot expanse of the broad streets in many of these neighborhoods. Though perhaps once paved, the now gravel and dirt alley surfaces absorb rainwater and retain much less heat than the surrounding streets. The benefits gleaned from a purely functional decision by Tucson's early developers are perhaps an accident, but I appreciate the informal greenway that they created. Tucson's alleyways provide a tiny piece of wildness in the middle of the city, connected to urban life, but with a little bit of mystery.
Thank you for joining us here on Arizona Illustrated. Next week, the last helicopter out is in Tucson. Learning to survive, an attempt to harness the power of the internet to understand and treat Alzheimer's, and a gallery in the sun. I'm Tom McNamara. See you next week.